Hi, everyone. I'm Berni B. This is my podcast, my full life podcast. And this month and next month, I'm going to talk about authenticity under the umbrella title of, very grand title, The Power and Joy of Authenticity. I want to do that for lots of reasons because I think that authenticity and being as authentic as we can is a really solid foundation from which to build any successful small business, but especially one that is very focused on client facing, and especially one such as celebrancy, which is my field, one of my fields, where you are interacting with families who are potentially emotionally quite vulnerable, but also where you are engaging with families and groups who are celebrating and letting you into their life and their world for that period of time that you're working with them, and how authenticity within any of those environments really helps you to get the best out of those families and thereby give the best to those families in terms of the service that you offer. If you don't know me already, I am based in Mid Wales. My name is Bernice Benton. I am, amongst other things, a stained glass artist, and a guest house owner, but I am also an end of life doula in training and a celebrant that focuses primarily on goodbyes, but also in the celebration of long relationships and alternative weddings. So for couples and families who really want to be true to themselves, and focus on the love and the story that they share with the people that they're there with. As a celebrant, we walk alongside families. We don't stand front and center and are the person that everyone's looking at. We are there to help everybody focus on the couple or the family or the situation that they are commemorating or celebrating. And we sit prior to that with families, and ask them to let us in to their story, into their world. And we do that, certainly with funerals, at a point in their lives and within their community where they are quite emotional and vulnerable. So to approach that without bringing our full selves and our full authenticity is something that would likely cause them to hold back and resist. If we can't be honest with ourselves, why are they going to be open and honest with us? So I have over the years talked more and more about authenticity, what that means, to me, and why I think it's important and really valuable to give of ourselves in order to receive. Where do I start? Well, way back when, so some years ago, when I first started blogging, I I titled myself Rose Tinted Ramblings. And I don't do that anymore, not because they're not rose tinted, but because people thought that that was my name. So people would refer to me as Rose. And also, sometimes my ramblings are not rose tinted. They're always from the heart. They're always generally unscripted, and just have this kind of outline of what I want to talk about, and sometimes go off in a completely different direction. But they can encompass everything. So now I am Berni B, full life. And basically, I try and present across all of my uh, facets of my life, be that me as a guest house proprietor, be that me as a mum, or a partner or a perimenopausal woman or a stained glass artist and teacher or a doula or a celebrant or as Lady Lil of the Monster Raven Looney Party, whichever one of my hats I'm wearing at any one time, I try and be as open and authentic as I can. And that in my blog and in my life manifests itself in presenting myself warts and all. So without makeup, uh, talking about when I mess up, talking about when I am struggling, or when something embarrassing has happened. And I do that because I think that quite often in life too often in life now, we are presented with polished, finished articles that result in us potentially feeling less than we should do. It doesn't matter what we look like or what we're wearing or if we make a mistake, even as long as we are learning from that mistake. The wonderful Brené Brown's talked about fails, and she said, it's not a fail, it's a fall. It's only a fail if you don't get back up and try again. Everything is a learning opportunity. If you don't push yourself outside of your comfort zone, you never expand yourself and your personality and your knowledge. So, and in order to push yourself out of your comfort zone, you have to be prepared to make mistakes and then learn from them and then try again. And if you can visualize a circle, there you go, there you are. This is your life in this circle. And then outside that circle, there's another circle. It's a bit bigger, which is kind of like where you're pushing yourself. And then outside of that, there's another one. Outside of that is another one. If you always live in this circle, it will never grow. If you push yourself to that next circle, hello, um, that's eventually from repeating things becomes your comfort zone. So your world and what you're comfortable doing is bigger than it started off with. And so when you're looking then to do something new, you're expanding into something even bigger. So by opening yourself up to experiences and taking the chance that you might get it wrong the first time and using those mistakes as learning opportunities, um, helps you as a person to grow and become more complete and be more happy and more contented, and also enables more people to find you and interact with you and benefit from your true self. What I try and do when I talk about whatever I end up talking about is tell it how I've experienced it and share it how I've experienced it. Because you will notice if you look on a lot of the things I've written, I use the phrase extraordinarily ordinary because I think every single one of us is extraordinary, but we're all extraordinary, which is ordinary. So it is normal to feel like you're the only one. And when you start talking, the more and more people you talk to about whatever you think is weird in your life, you realize that there are loads and loads of people out there who feel and worry about the same things. So over the next few podcasts, over the next few blogs, over the next month of content on my social media, the foundation or the umbrella of all of my posts really is going to be the power and the joy of authenticity. And I hope that some of you will take from that something useful or have something to say to me that is constructive criticism or comment that we would create a dialogue. I'm happy for that too. If you look back at the 3 10-minute podcasts prior to this one, they're all part of the last. They're a 3-part podcast that ends the last subject. So the last subject we talked about over December, January, had the umbrella heading of Endings Matter, and it ended with these little 10-minute late night recordings that I did. They're just audio, where I face grief and loss as an individual, and I'm supporting and navigating the loss with alongside my family and friends, and how that dynamic and the dynamic of it as a celebrant and as a doula differ, and what I learned from that and what I continue to learn from that. So what am I really talking about when I talk about authenticity? Well, yeah, that is an interesting question in itself. I was at the Association of Independent Celebrants conference a few months ago, and I attended a workshop there, which was by a lady called Tina. And I'm sorry, Tina, I've forgotten while I'm talking, temporarily forgotten your surname, but I know it begins with an N. And she did an introduction to NLP, which talks about really what I was just talking about, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, changing the dialogue you have with yourself, and expanding your comfort zone by pushing it very gently in an outward direction. And I know that as an individual, I am really keen to do more in the way of public speaking, not just for the sake of public speaking. I love public speaking. I love officiating events. I love Toastmaster in events. I love it when I'm included and I'm called out to commentate at the weird and wacky events we have here. But what I would also like to do is talk about things like this to groups of people where we can interact and have Q&As and that type of thing. Because I think that we all get to a point in our lives where we have things that we have experienced that by sharing them will give comfort and help to other people. And it's just a question of putting ourselves out there. So the thing that has been stopping me is, how do you create a talk or a conversation that still sounds like it's unscripted and is straight and remain straight from the heart, but be able to repeat it and to reproduce it and to deliver it in a form that helps personal development. So what I did straight after that workshop was I booked myself a session that I will deliver for continual personal development for the Association of Independent Celebrants for the beginning of April. So that would give me, from the time I agreed to do it, that would give me 4 months to create a 40-minute training session. So that's where I am. I am trying to pull together, here's my notes of me trying to pull together my training session on authenticity and the power and joy of it. And what I learned originally, what came to me originally when I was pulling that together, was how you can't talk about being authentic and your authentic self without talking about your own self-doubt and concerns. I think the thing that's always stopped me doing what I want to do is that the things I want to talk about are not new. And then I realized nobody who teaches is teaching something new. What they're doing is they're perhaps saying it in a different way. And everybody takes things from different people when they're said in different ways. So think about things. The imposter syndrome. That's a good one to talk about when we're talking about this. There are loads of workshops, talks about that. But you could go to 6 and only one of them would resonate with you, because that person just says one thing or says the thing in a certain way that resonates with you, and you have that ta-da moment. I don't know, lifestyle coaching, decluttering, SEO. That's a bit more tangible thing, search engine optimization. But any of these lifestyle things, um, public speaking workshops, confidence workshops, imposter workshops, um, any of those things. None of them are brand new concepts. They're just things, time management. They're just things that some individuals will deliver to you, and one of those individuals will hit the nail on the head and you will get that light bulb moment. Now for me it was Tina on this course. I had that light bulb moment. I've had that with a lady called Abigail Barnes with her time management workshops and her 888 formula, and I have it very regularly with Dinah Liversidge, who taught me to be a celebrant, but also does a lot of mentoring and repositioning yourself. So looking at reframing of your viewpoints. And she is one of those people, as are the others, who have made me have those ta-da moments. And the reason that Dinah particularly works really well for me is because she is so true to herself and so passionate about what she thinks. And because she's a friend of mine, I also know that she too, despite talking about it, has imposter mindset sometimes. And that taught me that even those who talk the talk don't 100% of time walk the walk. It's an ongoing learning process. We all sometimes stumble and fall, and the trick is to pick ourselves back up again. We all have that little imposter nagging away at us, and we have to sometimes have a conversation with it and reframe those things. And authenticity is about coming face to face with your imposter quite a lot, becoming more comfortable with yourself as an individual, trusting that what you have to say is something valid, and believing that if you say it in your own way, it will resonate and help someone, including helping myself, because every time I say it, it reminds me to do it for myself. So authenticity is involves quite a lot. It involves a lot of self-discovery and a lot of facing your fear, I would say. As individuals, I mean, I'm 56 now. I say that every time. Well, I don't. I said I was 55 when I was 55, and I shall say I'm 57 when I'm 57. But I, what was I saying? Yes, I find that the older I get, the more comfortable I am with being my authentic self. That is, the less I worry about how other people will judge me from how I appear or what I say. And I know, and from experience, I've discovered that if I am my true and honest self, there will be people who don't like that. And that is fine, because the people who accept that are liking me for my authentic self. I don't have to second guess how I should speak, worry about how what I say is being interpreted, um, uh, run everything through my mind before it comes out of my mouth. I know that if I am just me, those people who matter to me will understand that. And we will find our own tribes by being true to ourselves. Uh, there's a caveat on that. Just because I am being true to myself doesn't mean that I have to blurt out every thought and feeling I have at every moment. I can temper myself. What matters is that I know my own truth inside, and I don't compromise that truth in order to fit in to other people's space or environment. So it's really important. Um, it also comes with an awareness that what my authenticity was when I was younger is not the same as my authenticity now, and might not be the same as my authenticity in the future. So when we're younger, especially, um, we tend to protect or hide ourselves quite a lot in order to fit in. So we'll dress like our friends, or we'll follow the same bands as our friends, and we'll do things to fit in. Um, and in the workplace, we're taught to be good and be nice and be quiet and all of those things. So often we will make ourselves smaller or quieter or a little bit more invisible in order to not rock the status quo. Um, or we might do the opposite. We might lash out and be angry and frustrated because we can't contain ourselves and we're not comfortable with our own space. We might do things to self-sabotage. But as we get older, we find a way eventually, or as we go on, to understand our own emotions, feelings, and space more. I'm saying all of this, and I should have said it at the beginning. I'm saying all of this from my own self-reflection and my own my own awareness of myself, not from any professional training in that role, just purely from observation and my own experience. Um, but becoming self aware is a process. It's learning to trust in your own emotions and abilities and preferences and likes and dislikes, and accepting your strengths, but also acknowledging your weaknesses, um, uh, knowing what you really value in life and what you really disapprove of, and being prepared, not always to speak out all the time, but certainly not to compromise your position in order to keep everybody else happy. Um, when you become more open to yourself and your true self, those outside of that will sense that. They will know that you're not holding back yourself, and that will make the right people, your tribe, the right clients for you, more comfortable and more open in your presence. I've always found that in a talking job, or in a job where my job is to tell people stories, I could do a nice job for somebody um, without giving any of myself. It would be fine. It would be nice. But I don't want to be fine and nice. I want to be exceptional and tremendous. I want the stories I tell on behalf of families to be memorable and amazing, and reach the heart and the mind, and really truly represent their loved one that they've lost, or their love story that they're sharing. And I can only do that and expect them to open up their full story if I have an open heart and mind myself. Because that's just the way it is. We are very astute in our subconscious, and if we are closed and holding back, that will come across, and people will tell us the things that they need to tell us in order to tell some of their story. But if we want to get into that nitty gritty, we have to be prepared to be vulnerable too. But the joy of what you get from that position is just amazing. It's so wonderful. So, I will be talking more about it in when I do the training, but basically authenticity is a process built on building your own self-awareness, accepting your own foibles, or your warts and all self, um, facing your fears, constantly talking to that imposter, reframing things. I don't like my chin. I don't like my wonky teeth, and I haven't done anything about them cosmetically. And my urge always is to talk like this and cover it up. Um, for years and years as a teenager, I had this really negative, loud imposter. This is going to get heavy now. I wasn't expecting it to. Um, on my shoulder for my entire teenage and 20s, probably until I hit 30. Um, I would not leave the house without full makeup and my hair done and everything. I would always be looking for signs that the person opposite me was physically recoiling because of how that I looked to them. And that is a real that's real. I come across quite often that I'm quite confident now going, I've got my hair pink and 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 this, that and the other. But I was always looking for signs of revulsion in the people that were looking at me. And it took a lot of years, some of it counseling, some of it, self um, management, some of it just aging, um, to stop me looking out for that most of the time. I still do it sometimes. Like now, I'm looking at myself. It's really weird, this modern society now where we do a lot of our work remotely and we're on Zoom or in meetings on WhatsApp or whatever, and our own image is there as well. If you're having a conversation with someone in an office, there isn't a mirror there looking at yourself, so you're not like constantly seeing your double chins and your spots and your um I know this my root growth. I'm going to the hairdressers next week. You're not seeing, if you're full length, you're not seeing the rolls of fat coming over your jeans or your rounded shoulders or whatever it is that your hang up is. You're not seeing that when you're talking. But when we do it nowadays, we're constantly like assessing ourselves at the same time. Now, I know when I am in a meeting, I'm not looking at any of the other people in that meeting for how fat they are or whether they've got spots or anything like that. I'm probably looking to see if they're smiling. I'm probably looking to see if they look interested and engaged, um, in the same way. And I'm almost certainly looking at what's going on in their backgrounds because their backgrounds are really interesting. Um, but I'm not judging them for what they look like. And if I was, that says more about me than it does about them. Yet I am constantly negatively judging myself, and I have had to learn, and I'm continually having to learn, um, largely from Dinah. Um, and we give this to one another, but reframing those thoughts we have about ourselves and reminding ourselves to talk kindly to ourselves in the same way as we would talk to ourselves if we were our friend. And that is so important in life. I mean, the suggestion that we should have a mantra to ourselves about something very positive, um, every morning is a really, really good one, because I could say, I know, trying to think of an idea, but reframing something like I don't like my chin and I'm worried about my teeth. I can say my smile is, instead of saying when I smile, uh, people might be put off by my wonky teeth. I can say when I smile, it brings joy and and expresses authenticity to the people who are looking at me. And I might not believe that when I'm first saying it. It is true actually, but I might not believe it when I'm first saying it. But if I said that to myself every day, 5 times a day or something, just stood in front of the mirror in the morning and said, I'm going to smile, and my smile will reflect um, my genuine interest and warmth to the people who are looking at me. I would eventually, that would stick in my head, I'm sure. And I try to do that in my head all the time. Stop looking at my physical appearances and the bits I don't like, um, and berating myself for them, but accepting them as part of me and just moving on. I mean, already you often see me now without makeup. That would have never happened in my younger days. I'm facing my fears, dealing with my imposter, trying to be as authentic as I can. Um, you know, in a society and in a world where we are encouraged to blend in and not cause any trouble and not stick out and fit in and be molded, from the days where we start school, they are molding us to be certain types of people, certain with certain opinions. So it takes a lot as you get older to move out of that and be prepared to go, actually, I don't agree with that. I don't like doing that. I'm not going to have brown hair just because people think that brown is the only colour of hair that I should have. I'm not going to do whatever it is. I am going to talk out about this subject because it's really important to me. So yes, self-awareness, acceptance of your what you perceive as your faults or foibles, um, acknowledgement, acknowledging your fears, facing your fears, um, talking constantly to your imposter, and constantly exploring where you're at physically, mentally, and emotionally, exploring, evaluating, and evolving. That is what I mean by being authentic. That doesn't mean that I will be exactly the same in every environment. I will be different when I'm being a childminder to when I'm teaching adults to do stained glass to when I'm sitting with a grieving family or sitting by the bedside of someone who is dying or uh, at a party with my friends and family. There will be different parts of me that show themselves, but each one of those parts of me I try to have as authentic and as genuine as possible. If I've had with row with my husband and I'm really raging and angry, it doesn't mean I need to come out and be raging and angry and share that with everybody in every situation I'm in. I have to be aware that that's there. I have to acknowledge that I'm tempering it. I have to acknowledge that it's something I'm struggling with and it's something I'm going to have to deal with. And I can park it and bring it back out and continue it when I get back home. That doesn't mean I'm not being authentic about how I'm feeling, sad, angry. It just means that it's not relevant to the situation that I'm in. And I need to be fully present and focused on the situation I'm in at the time. Being present and being focused on what you're doing at any one time does not mean the other stuff that you believe in and are thinking about doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean you're being any less authentic with yourself. You are just um, interacting as a human being and being responsible. So, yeah. How do you become more self-aware? Yeah, you become more self-aware by listening, by noticing, by assessing, by reprogramming, talking more kindly to yourself, acknowledging your mistakes, but not berating yourself, accepting yourself for who and where you are in any one moment. Um, Noticing, when I say noticing, how is your environment impacting you? If you're sat in a noisy, cold room with lots of distractions, you are not going to be as content and happy, perhaps, as if you were in a nice, warm, quiet, safe space having the same conversation. So, it's not just about internal, it's about external. Um, Being able to be your authentic self, acknowledging what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes things easy, what makes things difficult. Um, it's all part of that exploration and evaluation. This is my workspace. Behind me, there are lots of cards, thank you cards, pictures of my kids, things I've made. This little picture of my Pasha, who is was living with us. He's a Ukrainian little boy. So those are always, when I turn around, that's what I face when I'm working. Um, the other side is my stained glass studio. My cat sat in a basket just next to me. It's warm and cozy in here because my husband has insulated it now. I was very uncomfortable working in here in the past, and so I kept avoiding it or going away, not feeling very happy. But my space surrounds me with the things I care about and love, and is comfortable and safe, and helps me be more me than than I uh than I the not more me, the best version of me and the most authentic version of me I can be. And if you want to find out more, or want to follow more, or want to learn more, or want to interact more with me, I am over on YouTube, Bernie B Full Life. There's my podcast there. I'm over on Instagram as Bernie B Full Life Alternative Celebrant. If you put Bernie B, you will find me on any of them. It'll be Bernie B Full Life Alternative, any of those things. And really, I'm not quite sure how this next month is going to go when we're talking about authenticity and what that means. Um, and that's okay. I don't need to know all the steps into the future for me to start this journey. Um, we can do this. We can take this journey together and see where it takes us, and what that means for each of us. So at the moment, in myself, I am feeling a little bit harassed. I've had a very busy January that I wasn't expecting to be quite as busy as it was. It's been wonderful, but really exhausting. And it was made more exhausting by the fact that um, I go away on the 23rd to visit my family, which meant I crammed 4 weeks into 3 to get everything done that I wanted to do this month. So I'm feeling quite tired. I'm probably looking quite tired. Look at these bags under my eyes. Um, but I'm feeling very positive and excited and humongously grateful to have you all here, or there, wherever you are, for having the opportunity to do the things I'm doing at the moment. I'm excited and a little frightened and nervous about something I'm planning to do for St. David's Day. I'm not quite sure how it's going to evolve and work out. I'm just trusting in the process and hoping that by the time the day comes, all the things that I'm trying to put in place will come together and be in place. I'm excited about and very nervous about delivering my first continual personal development session based on the joy and power of authenticity. And I'm going to be doing that over at the members area for the association on the first or the 2nd of April. I've got it written in my diary so I won't forget. I'm excited and emotionally invested in the current training I'm doing, which is the next module of my end of life doula training. I've done the foundation module 1 and now I'm halfway through module 2. I find it challenging, hugely beneficial. it's almost like a therapy session in itself. So it's emotionally, it's quite challenging because we, in order to be able to support people and families in dying, it has what it requires of us is to really explore our own um, inner selves um, in quite a lot of detail, and that in itself brings forth all sorts of things that we may have buried or pushed to one side. So it's, yeah, um, that's quite challenging at the moment. I'm excited that I'm going away to see my mum and dad. I'm very grateful that they're still in part of my life and still here and still alive. I'm worried that while I'm away, my cat won't get as many cuddles as he would like, and will think that we've left, but he will. I know there's a whole network of cat cuddlers here who are going to be looking after him. I'm always stressed that uh, that work won't continue to present itself, but less so as time goes on, because I really trust that my tribe, my people, those people that need to find me in order for me to be able to deliver their services in a way that would best represent them, I believe that they will find me. And I believe that I have connections with some of the most wonderful, I know, I don't believe, I know I have connections with some of the most wonderful, caring people who I can work alongside to bring these things to fruition. So yeah, authenticity comes with showing the good side, the strong side, the confident side, and also the emotional pitfalls, concerns, um, and and growing, being prepared to grow as a person, being able to make mistakes, being able to put them, learn from those mistakes, being able to get yourself back up and move forward. So yes, authenticity and the joy and power of it, and the evolution of it, and the ever growing authentic journey to become your authentic self is what we are going to talk about from all different angles over the next 4 to 6 weeks. If there is anything you would like to talk about or ask me or have me talk about during that time, please let me know. Please keep logging in, perhaps subscribe to the new blog. There's still the podcast Ask a Celebrant as well, that I do in conjunction with, in partnership with my beautiful friend Dinah, where we talk about all sorts of things in terms of celebration and commemoration. Um, yeah, and I look forward to talking to you some more from all those different spaces in the World Wide Web, on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my podcast, on my YouTube channel, and anything else. So yeah, keep an eye out, Berni B, in all of those places. If you do a search, you'll find me, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening in.